I am borrowing this concept from Sadhguru, the Indian guru who in turn refers to the yogic sciences, how they describe human intelligence by breaking it down into 4 major categories. But before we go into these categories, let's briefly consider where the value may be from a concept about ourselves, how we function. To me, the value is never in the concept itself, not beyond just being a concept. The value is always in my direct experience. So if it can guide me or point me to something I can directly experience myself, that's where I find the value. Maybe it can help point me to something I didn't see before, a hidden part of me, or maybe help clarify something for me to see, so I can see more clearly. Okay, let's go into the 4 categories to describe human intelligence. They are memory, the intellect, identity, and pure intelligence. Starting with memory. This includes not only what we hold in our mind and what we remember from our lives, what we have learned. It also includes body memory, even down to DNA level, and probably beyond. Then we have the intellect, and this includes logical thinking, how we put 2 and 2 together, how we get to a conclusion, or how we perform a task. So this also includes the body. And the intellect is using the memory in order to get to where it's going. Thirdly, we have identity. And identity means who I believe myself to be. And every thought that I believe in. Perhaps it's more clear with who I believe myself to be as an identity, which could be I am a man, I am a daughter, I am smart, I'm stupid, I'm kind, but also all thoughts we believe in about everything else can also be seen as an identity. We can frame it as I'm a person who believes in this and that. I'm a person who believes in democracy. I'm a person who believes that everyone should close the bathroom door after they are finished. And the identity, this is what is giving the direction to the intellect, which in turn uses the memory to get somewhere. And this somewhere is always a place where the identity is proven right, proven correct, true. Because if this was not the case, then the identity wouldn't serve any purpose. If it's not true, then it doesn't need to exist. So it would mean death to this part of ourselves. So it can fight really hard to stay relevant. Perhaps the easiest example in order to observe this whole mechanism or this dynamic of identity, memory and intellect is in a political debate. Here the participants are usually very strongly identified with their party, the political party. So every thought that they are getting, at least the ones we hear, or we can observe it in ourselves, of course, all the thoughts are describing how our party are the best. Or at least that's the direction. So it might be directly to describe how good our party is, but it can also be indirectly how the other parties are wrong. And in different cases, in order to keep the identity true, even in facing maybe difficult argumentative situations where we seem to be losing, then in order to stay relevant, we will deflect, so go to another topic and not touch it, whatever was difficult to prove right for our cause. And this can also go to personal attacks as a deflection as well, which seems quite common nowadays. We don't only have one identity at the time, usually, but perhaps one in the end wins out. No, it's probably more often a combination of many different parts of us. Let's go into a different example to explore this a little bit more further. Let's say I'm having a conversation with my partner, and in this subject, which let's say it's about my line of work, so I identify as being a lot more knowledgeable than her. And then she gives a suggestion that I haven't thought of before. So to me, in order to keep this identity of being more knowledgeable and maybe superior to her in this area, the thoughts I'm hearing are describing how this suggestion is probably wrong and for this and that reason. So I tell her this, and that's the end of that conversation. I forget about this conversation or what she said, and 1 or 2 days later, I hear someone else say the same thing. But this time, it's someone I identify as much more knowledgeable than me even. A real expert in the field. So when this person says it, then maybe if I really look up to this person, I just take it on as truth. Or maybe I'm a bit more hesitant, but at least I'm inclined to believe it. So all my thoughts that I'm hearing are exploring how this is probably right, and finding reasons for it to be true, even if it opposes something that I believed previously. Then we fast forward again, and I having a new conversation with my partner, and I tell her about this. So naturally she gets upset because she feels that I don't listen to her. Now here it's a bit interesting to look at what more identities we can have. So I have this of being more knowledgeable than her, and maybe it's super strong and a big part of me that I am so good at my work, and this is how I provide for the family and so on. So I cannot even fathom that she had said something like this, so I shut her down. But maybe I have this identity of being a good boyfriend also, which to me means that I listen to her and take what she says seriously. So now my thoughts are starting to question here. This being more knowledgeable part feels like she probably couldn't have said this, but I don't want to act all superior because even though part of me feels it. So I apologize and, okay, maybe that could be true. And I feel in order to be a good boyfriend, I will try to listen better. I tell her. And next time when she gives a suggestion about something, then even though maybe I have this other part of me that thinks this is probably not right, but I am also a good boyfriend, so I will try it. And hopefully, when I try this, whatever it is, it doesn't work out, because then I can keep both my identities. If it doesn't work out, I can still feel that, oh yeah, of course, that's what I thought. But I was so good boyfriend to listen and try it out. But if it did work out, this would be very clear proof that what I was previously thinking of being so superior is not true. So this identity, if I allow myself to look at this clearly, is not true. I mean, I'm sure it has happened that, maybe me as well, probably, if something worked out and I really wanted to keep this identity. Maybe I just ignore this part and never tell anyone about it. Maybe it's not in this exact scenario, but something similar. But what often happens when an identity gets so confronted that it's obviously not true, then it will die in an instant. I see it as, how some are very, very good at putting plastic cups on top of each other to form a little tower, and then they can take it down super fast, almost in an instant. So when they take it down, that's the identity dying very quickly. But then, something new is formed almost as fast. Because a lost identity can feel very shaky. But who are we beyond the identities? The person. If we start observing this mechanism, this dynamic of identity, memory, and the intellect, who is the one observing? We can ask ourselves the age-old question, who am I? And not focus on the who part, because that usually leads to some sort of identity. So the focus is on the I. Who am I? The I of consciousness. The awareness. And this brings us to the last category in human intelligence. Pure intelligence, which means that it has nothing to do with memory. It just appears out of nothing, out of everything. For example, when we get a really strong intuition, or another example is something truly creative. We get a brilliant idea. Many scientific discoveries have been reported coming from a place of silence, and then suddenly this discovery appears to the scientist. Similarly, artists who have created amazing pieces of music, for example, when asked how they wrote the song or how they came up with it, the best answer they can give, which is a good answer, of course, is God gave me. God gave it to me. Or they simply don't know. Of course, if the artists have a strong identity of being a very good artist, then the thoughts might, the intellect, use the memory in order to describe what happened when this song came about, and and take credit for it. So this mechanism of identity, memory, and the intellect, often referred to as the ego from a spiritual perspective, or at least part of the ego. Is neither good or bad. It can be very helpful and also destructive if we get so involved in it and we mistake it for our true self. Then we will be fully run by this, whichever identity is most important to us will run the show, which can change in different situations, of course. But if we can see through it, then we can start using this as the excellent tool that it is. And we can wear the identities which gives the direction. We can wear them as we wear our clothes. When it's useful, we put it on. Okay, now I'm a good worker. But then, when work is finished, I can take it off. I don't need to see it as myself, because then I could lose it, and then I need to prove myself, prove it to be right. And live with the constant fear of losing myself.